All right, so this is just a whole bunch of ways that we learned from September to now, and plus some that you learned in the past, how to stop, like what to stop and think about while you're reading. However, what I want you guys to understand is this. This is deeper level thinking. You cannot do this unless you know what's going on in your books, unless you know who the characters are, what's the setting, what's the conflict. So you can't think deeply unless you know the gist of the book, right? So I want you to take like 3 minutes, and I want you to have the paper on your desk in front of you. I want you to take about 3 minutes to read all of these types of thinking that you can possibly do, and read them over. Like 4 to 5 sentences, because you can't back up your inference with like one sentence. So go ahead and jot now, answering these questions. How is this imagery helping you, the reader? What does the imagery teach you about the characters, relationships, conflict, or anything else? So go ahead and stop and jot. And we're not moving on till we see that everybody has a really good jotting. That one down. We know that like one of the things the imagery is showing us is the fact that the teacher's old, right? And we also said, you know, when her face lifted, it was a color of chalk, so that couldn't show us that she was like shocked or angry. But what about over here? What could this tell us? It also said like how she was angry a lot, right? She was never, it was actually, her anger seemed to erupt daily. What else? Anything else? Rian, go ahead.
That she probably gets mad a lot because it says she gets angry daily.
Okay, well that's directly stated. Okay, so let's read on. So then it goes, and the next part says, nasty was the way one student described her. No one disagreed. She contemplated the class like a surgeon deciding where to cut. Gregory Martinez, she called, come here this instant. A hush fell upon the class as Gregory reluctantly slid out of his chair, then slumped to the front of the class, hands deep in his baggy pockets. So what I want you to do is I want you to highlight this. So this would be another example of what? So if what kind of thinking do you think I want you to do right now? So it says, a hush fell upon the class, reluctantly slid out of his chair, slumped to the front of this class. Hands, what is it called? Right, so imagery is author's craft. So I want you to put a number 2 right here. So this is highlighted. So what is this author's craft? What is it revealing about the character, about relationships? Okay, so how is this imagery helping you understand the characters more? So go ahead and try to respond to that, but use the evidence from, use excerpts, use quotes from that imagery. All right, so if I look at this part right here, a hush fell upon the class as Gregory reluctantly slid out of his chair, slumped to the front of the class, hands deep in his baggy pockets. So what does this part teach you about Gregory, either the kind of person he is or how he's feeling? So give me some, go ahead. What do you got, Antonio? Gregory was short for his 11 years and heavy-set. His complexion was dark, his hair black, his eyes intense, and at the moment full of worry. Though he had been in the school only a few months, everyone at Kennedy Middle School knew he was a brain. When Mrs. Wessex asked the question, it was always Gregory who had his hand up. More often than not, he had the right answer too. Though Gregory liked being smart, his intelligence set him off from the other kids. He wanted to be liked, but they thought of him as different. Lately, however, things had begun to change. So I'm going to stop right here. So in this part right here, from all the way here to down here, what kind of thinking, I want you to look at your stop and jot ideas. What type of thinking do you think would be really good to stop and think about this? Now you can't do this unless you look at this stop and jot chart that we handed out to you. So that chart should be right in front of you right now, and you should be looking at it. So I want you to take 1 minute or probably 30 seconds to look at this. And what type of thinking do you think really works well for that part. So look at the paper that I handed out to you, and this is the part that we're going to think about, starting with right here. So what kind of thinking do you think would work for this section? Here are some options. You could think about his backstory. You could think about pressures. You could think about how the character, like your opinion has changed. Like maybe when you first started reading the story, you thought one thing about Gregory, now you think something else. So this gives you 3 options. So everybody at this point right now should have something to stop and jot for. So I said I should be up here. So I was thinking about pressures, right? Because one of those things is pressures. So I have empathy for Gregory due to the pressure he's under. He's smart, but this makes him different from all the other kids. And all he wants is to, and I put this in quote because I directly quote the text, is to be liked. So I feel bad for him because it's almost like he has two external, he has a conflict within himself. It seems like he wants to be smart, but he also wants to be liked, right? So tell me, like, what did you have? Matt, you had a really good response.
Well, I said, because of his backstory, saying, how positive he was, he would participate in class. I think he's being called up not to be in trouble. I think she's trying to see, she can get an answer from him.
Oh, so she's kind of using him. Oh, so really you're also thinking about, I don't know if you realize this, you're also thinking about character motive. So you're saying Mrs. Wessex has a motive of calling him up because he's really a good kid, and so she's kind of using him to get down to the bottom of what really happened.
Yeah.
All right, good. Antonio, what are you thinking?
If he does rat the person out, whoever did it, I feel like that's going to be a good clash between relationships also.
Totally, right? Because then because he's already having a hard time fitting in because he's so smart and he wants to be bad. What did you write about your changing opinion, Caitlin?
I said how I thought that he was a bad kid at first, but then
But you have to give me proof from the text. So what made you think he was bad?
because it said how because Hush fell upon the class, Gregory reluctantly slid out of his chair and something from the class.
Perfect. But now,
And how the evidence that proved that was that he said he felt like he sent him off with other kids.
good. Did anybody use the sentence prop, I think this because, in your things?
Yeah.
Or I know this because. Okay, so here's what I wanted us to do now.